from our legal team with Best and Krieger. Steve and Jeremy, are you on?
I'll start again. I hadn't gotten very far. As your executive director mentioned, we recently received the draft that's before you today. We've not had a chance to fully review the documents. However, based on our review so far, we believe that the guidelines need to better define their goal and their purpose, in order to support enforceability. Guidelines are typically intended, at least in my experience, to express goals and recommendations. But the current version of the guidelines are very prescriptive and reads more like a specific set of requirements that must be met. The number of the specific requirements, I can certainly understand why there's a desire to include a number of specific requirements. However, that makes it very difficult to harmonize the document. I do believe there are areas where it's just not clear how the various provisions fit together, and also requires that if there's any changes in the future, it has to be go through the expenditure plan amendment process. Because the requirements in the guidelines are numerous and highly detailed, I believe as it's currently written, they create a risk of political and legal disputes, particularly if the FCTA seeks to enforce compliance through withholding funds or other mechanisms that are listed in the implementation agreement. This level of specificity makes the documents function less as guidelines and more as enforceable regulations, which I think will cause the FCTA problems down the road. To address this concern, I suggest that the guidelines should include clear language stating that they are goals to be implemented by the FCTA through the SIP or other regulations once the measure is approved by the voters. The specific measures included in the guidelines can then be implemented by the FCTA through a set of requirements tailored to each expenditure plan program, which would preserve the flexibility while ensuring appropriate oversight. So, in sum, we have concerns with the guidelines being so prescriptive that that there will be both inconsistencies within the document, and we've already identified a number of them, and also create issues with enforcement if in fact the FCTA tries to enforce it. And my recommendation is that that at least language be included in the document, which makes it clear that these are guidelines, these are goals, and that they are not specific requirements that can be enforced either by the FCTA or frankly by a taxpayer lawsuit that claims that the FCTA is not properly enforcing the requirements of the guidelines. I'm happy to take any questions.